Hi, Wes.
Hi.
Thanks for coming along today. Today we're going to do a podcast about your Part 3 and your test result. And the purpose of these podcasts is to help other PDIs so they can hear PDI experiences and they might be able to get some ideas as to what to do for their Part 3.
Okay.
So, first of all, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You passed your Part 3 yesterday in Ipswich, I understand?
Yeah.
And your result was
35.
35 out of 51.
Yeah.
Well done. And so, before we talk about that Part 2 process, I'd like to just talk a little bit about the training process leading up to that. Just so that our listeners know roughly what sort of experience that you've got or had. How long have you been in the training process then, Wes?
So I've been on the road for about 5 months, 5.5 months. The process started during the last lockdown, so obviously didn't get along as quick as it should have, but you know, it's just because we couldn't have face to face. So all in all, I think that's probably about 7.5 months since I started.
And how did you find the training process?
Very good, very informative. Lots to take in. Like your mind's not ready for it to start off with, but good still. You know, in a really good way. Obviously the practical stuff much better. The role play is difficult to start off with, but you do quite quickly get used to it. You know, and if you get used to the person that you're doing it with, that makes life a lot easier.
Good.
Yeah.
So you completed your 40 hours mandatory training,
Yep.
and then you went on a pink licence, is that correct?
Yeah, PDI.
And how did you find going on to a pink licence or a trainee licence help you towards
Oh, definitely. I mean, like the role play and everything that you do is nothing like having a student, you know, with the working out of how they need to learn and all that sort of stuff. It's not so much difficult. It's just like switching yourself into the different people that you need to be, you know, to get them to where they need to be. And you couldn't learn that in role play. You know, so that's been amazing.
So would you say for all those people listening that might be looking to go and take their Part 3 who haven't had the trainee licence, would you say that's definitely an advantage?
Oh, most definitely.
For that process, that Part 3?
Yeah,
Good.
definitely.
So let's talk a little bit about the Part 3 then. So how did you prepare for it?
Well, I prepared with Carl, and obviously lots of preparation previously with Mark. We all spoke about it. I did do a couple of extra hours with Mark. I sat in on a couple of lessons with him just to see how things went. But yeah, we sort of had a bit of a crash course the last couple of days before it reviewed, didn't we? And it was great. Yeah.
So did you find the planning process for your Part 3 really important?
Oh yeah, of course. It's the main thing. You know, you've got to have a plan.
Yeah.
You know.
So would you have fared so well, do you think, if you hadn't done some planning?
Oh
before?
no, definitely not. Definitely not.
So what did you choose? What lesson plan did you choose then, and why?
It was fast approaching roundabouts and, you know, faster roundabouts. The people I took had issues with going too fast, stopping at the roundabout, not looking. So yeah, that was where we started from.
What sort of experience did your pupil have?
28 years, full licence holder. No extra training since. So, you know.
And how did you find that on the day compared with what you would do normally, which are your L learners?
Oh, that's a completely different ball game again, because you've basically, it's like teaching yourself, because you can already do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like throughout the whole process and everything, when you have to dissect everything that you do, you're then dissecting it again. And it's like asking the questions rather than telling, and that's hard to get your head around to start off with, but yeah, obviously worked.
Good. Well, obviously, yeah. So just for our listeners, just give us a summary of your lesson and the kind of things that you had to deal with.
Okay, so usual sort of things that you'd expect somebody that can drive if you were sitting next to them to do, like going up the right hand side of a slip road, not checking the mirrors every time, indicating at marker 1 rather than marker 3, that sort of stuff. And then it's just like giving them the education that they need to look further ahead more, because they tend to just get complacent with what they do and they're not looking further enough ahead. So just starting that process earlier. And you think about it, say 28 years ago when my student learnt to drive, there wasn't nothing on the road. So there's so much more there now. So there's so much more to deal with, and we've been taught how to deal with it. So, they're the usual sort of things that end up the best way. And I think probably the best piece of advice to give to anybody taking one would be to follow through completely with what you've started. You've seen the problem, you've seen it, you've said it, but you've got to make it happen. Give them the opportunity to show that they've learned something. I think it's the follow through that is the more important part.
So how much did you have to deviate from your original plan then? Because I know lots of listeners will be thinking, well, how regularly do I have to sort of jump in and tell people when they're doing these things wrong?
Well, the plan pretty much stayed as it was as we were going around, but there was things to talk about on the way. So it didn't stick completely to the plan, but we didn't really change the plan completely, but we still added, everything that was going to happen on the way there, So yeah, it was, it wasn't changed, it was more adapted, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that some people can get confused with. You don't have to completely move away from the training area unless it's not working for you, your pupil. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's just adapting it within those things. But from what you said, it's important. I guess what you're saying is the person that you took, any fault that you saw or anything you could help them with, if there was a benefit, I guess you just sorted it out methodically rather than forgetting about it coming back.
Well, that's the aim of the game, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a lesson.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to be able to give, and learning and advice and help.
Yeah.
So that's what you do, isn't it? Like you say, pick up on everything that you can see, and if you can help.
So do you think your pupil actually achieved their goals with you?
Very strangely enough, after it all happened, she was like, I actually can't believe that it's that easy, and yeah, she really did learn something.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was good.
So would you have done anything different in your part 3 session, thinking back now, reflecting on what you've done?
Well, now I'm not so nervous. I would do quite a few things differently.
Yeah.
But it was my nerves that caused the lack of, I think today I'd have definitely got a higher score.
Yeah.
Because I weren't under so much pressure. But it's just calm yourself down. Think about it. Like when you teach, where you were teaching all of your pupils as you go around, calm down, chill. Don't rush. And that's exactly the same.
Yeah.
You're like a student at that point, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So yeah, just think of those words of wisdom you get to them and apply it to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what advice would you give then to any of our listeners that are now preparing for their part 3, or they've got the part 3 booked? What advice would you give them, Wes?
I think probably the best thing would be to speak to the people that you know and trust that have already passed this thing. Don't just listen to what everybody else says, because there's people who tell you horror stories just for the fun of it. So, speak to the people that know and that you know. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, preparation, planning, really important.
Most definitely.
Yeah, have a solid plan.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, solid plan. Know what you're going to do, know where you're going as well. I mean, I drove around my area the night before I went and picked up my student, just to make sure that there was no roadworks or there was no potholes or whatever, just to be sure,
Excellent. Well, thanks very much. Well done. And we look forward to working with you, working towards your standards check.
Yes, let's do it.
Thanks very much, Wes.
Thank you.
Thanks.